Hi, so now we have already completed this part, we have improvised this part. It's time to learn a new technique. For this particular subject, so far we have used the symmetrical method for drawing, the outlines. Now it's time to use another technique which is known as grid method. We have drawn multiple lines for the grid and we are going to use that method for the asymmetrical part of the subject, which is both the hands and the other elements which are not symmetrical. Okay, so let's start. When you are using a grid method, it is very important that you have a reference image with you, and our reference image is this, which is already shared in the WhatsApp group and even uploaded in the reference image folder. So you may take this as a reference where the grid lines are drawn. At the same time, the lines for the subject are also drawn. So use this image as your reference. We will start with the grid method. I'll give you a quick demo. You can keep comparing with the reference image when I'm talking about the method. Whenever we are using the grid method, the structure, which is the grid lines, are going to help you, support you drawing your lines, the subject lines. Okay. So for example, in this particular grid, 3 to 4 blocks, we are supposed to place the braid, and so you have to observe your reference image and mark on the grid lines to understand and place your element. So how do we mark? How do we take the reference and how do we mark? So if you observe this part of the braid, it's beginning somewhere from this point, right? So how much this point is on this grid line, so you have to take that reference, understand that if it is beginning from here, what ratio or what percentage this is. So how do we take the percentages? If this is 100%, we divide it into half, that becomes 50-50%. Then we further divide it into half, this section, that becomes 25, and this becomes 75, and opposite, it will be 75, this will be 75, and this becomes 25. Okay, now randomly, if I give you the ratio of 10-90 or say 20-80, so if this is 25%, so 10 will be somewhere over here, so this becomes your 10%, this becomes your 90%. So that way, randomly you have to take these ratios, you have to measure this, mark this, and then accordingly place your element there. So let us see. So this seems like, if this is 50, this seems like 30-70. 30-70 is the ratio where the braid is beginning from. So I will start the curve. The braid is meeting somewhere over here, that again is somewhere at 40-60 ratio, so I'm marking a dot there. Okay, there is a curve over here. Now that curve is more of a semicircle which is ending somewhere here. So what is this ratio? This seems like 75-25. Mark a dot there, draw the curve. Where the curve is falling exactly in the middle of the box, there the grid is not going to help you, right? There the observational skills, you have to observe this curve and you have to draw. Okay, observe and freehand drawing skills will help you. Now if we observe this part of the grid, somewhere in like 50%, the grid you have to mark, and somewhere over here, that is somewhere around 60 or say 70-30 ratio, and the curve is more like this. Okay, replicate the same curve by leaving some distance. So now if you see the structure of the braid, it's thicker over here, and as you move along with the curve, it's getting slightly thin. Okay, it's forming a curve here, it's going down like this. Observe the curve, use your freehand techniques, using the grid you're supposed to draw. Now over here, there is this shape which is not exactly falling on the vertical line, it's slightly besides it. And see, as this element is not a very important element of the subject, it's if you go slightly here and there, if you adjust the size, if you adjust the curves a little bit, it will not affect the painting a lot, right? Definitely it's important, but it's an accessory, so it's just a complementary element, right? So it's not going to affect a lot. So you have the liberty to make changes according to your wish. So this is how you're supposed to use the grid method for drawing the asymmetrical part of the subject. You may go for the symmetrical part and use the grid method as well. There is nothing wrong in that, right? As long as you are happy with it, you can go for it. So now there are some certain lines inside. So see, for these lines I'm not going to use the grid. I'm just randomly going for it. This is totally an observational activity. Draw very light initially, and if there are any changes required, you may do it easily. Now let us draw this hand. We have done this in the live class, but just for the recording I'm doing this. So from this point somewhere, it's meeting somewhere this point. So I'm drawing a slant line, okay, which is a guiding line, and from the center of this box, I'm marking a dot in the center of this box, and this intersecting point, I'm connecting it with a straight line. So these two lines are guiding me for the outermost curve of the hand, right? So I'm going to draw this outer curve. I'm going to curve it down. It's not a sharp edge here, so I'm going to curve it down here. Now from this point, if you observe the reference image, from this point it's meeting somewhere over here. Now what is this ratio? This seems like 25-75. So mark a dot at 25-75 and connect it with the straight line. Okay. Now before the intersection and the vertical grid line, it's bending from here and then going straight. Now where it is going? It's coming in the center of this box. So mark a center and connect it with the straight line. So now you got the outermost surface, outermost curve for the hand, right? Now it's time to place the fingers and the palm. So now the fingers are placed somewhere here. This is the uttermost line. So if you observe, it's not 50-50. So this seems like 60-40 or say 55-45. So mark a dot here, and if you want the measurement, this is 2.5. This is 2.5. Okay, mark a line. So this is the extreme line for the fingers, right? After that, somewhere in the middle, at this point, you have to curve it down. Now here the grid will not help you where the curve is forming, right? It's where it's turning, where it's bending. So there it's totally an observational activity. Observe it and follow the same curve. Now this is the extreme line for the fingers. So this seems like 60-40 or say 70-30. Okay, mark a line there, and somewhere after the vertical grid line, you may draw one line. So you have this box in which we have to place all the fingers. So divide it like 4 times. Okay, 4 fingers are placed, and improvise the shape. Exactly in the center of this intersection, you have to add an oval, which is nothing but the ornaments. Over here you have to place 4 circles for each and every finger, again ornaments. For the nails you may add the shapes. Fingers are ending like this. We have practiced this on a rough piece of paper before we started the line drawing. So the hand is completed. The total height of the palm is somewhere around 2.5. This is 2.5. The total height from the fingers to this is somewhere around 3.5. The total width of the fingers is somewhere around 0.7. Each and every finger is somewhere around 0.7 to 0.8. Now we are supposed to add this ornament over here. The thickness of that shape is somewhere around 1.5 centimeter, but that again is an observational activity, so you may go a bit here and there. It's totally fine. In the middle of the hand there is the same curve you have to repeat, the same line you have to repeat by leaving some distance like this. Okay, draw a circle 2 concentric circles can be drawn, some ovals can be drawn inside the shape. Okay, so this is how your hand is completed. Over here there are some shapes, one circle in the middle and 2 droplet shapes here. Now this is a symmetrical part of it, so here even it's very small element, but you may use the symmetrical technique for drawing this. Okay, symmetrical method. There are multiple circles here, 3, 4 and 5. Remember that you are going to add colors inside, so make sure that the shapes are drawn according to that particular process, that it's not too small, otherwise filling colors will be difficult. Now if we talk about the dupatta, that is the part of the poshak of Bhagwan. So if you see, it's beginning somewhere from this point, it's forming a curve here, it's meeting somewhere here. So I got one point, I will connect it, observing the curve. Okay, it's going out of the intersecting point somewhere here, and it's meeting this intersecting point somewhere. So follow the curve, and it's meeting somewhere here. So this is the basically the outer shape. Now once the connections are made, improve the shape, and it's going till here, right? It's forming a triangle, a long triangle with the grid. Again another long triangle with the grid. Improve the curves, that's very important. Now from this point another shape is added. So now where the shape is ending, so this is the point where it's ending, and somewhere this is the point where it's ending, right? This point. You may curve it down, and it can be added randomly, no need to go for the grid method. It can be added randomly, as this is a small element like this. The other shapes can be added inside. Okay, this is how. There are certain lines inside this shape also. When you're dealing with a long curve, your wrist should not place at one position, it should keep on moving along with the pencil. So now right hand side hand is completed, and these elements are also added. Now it's time to go for the left hand. Okay, before we start with the left hand, let's complete the hand first. Yeah, so it's beginning somewhere from this line, that is the center line of the circle. I'm drawing one line there, and if you observe the vertical grid line, somewhere at 25%, you may draw another line like this, vertical line. Now you have to observe the curve. This is the curve. Okay, go straight down, and somewhere at again 25, you have to follow this curve or straight line. This is the shape of the left hand. Okay, now you have to add ornaments inside. So I'm adding one shape here, add 2-3 circles inside. The same curve should be replicated in the middle like this. I'm talking about this line, so that can be added. Maintain the thickness. Three to 4 circles can be added there like this. For this shape you have to go for the circle here in the center, and it can be a semicircular form, the right hand side and left hand side. Now it's time to add the flute. Now the flute is beginning somewhere at this point, forming a triangle here, and it's meeting exactly the center, or you may take a straight line from the crown. Okay, so you may draw a straight line, the point where it's ending, just meet it over here, the thickness of the flute is 1 centimeter. So mark at 1 centimeter, draw another line, another parallel line like this. Okay, it can go beyond the horizontal line just to improve the shape like this. You may add on multiple sections inside the flute like this. Where it's overlapping, erase the overlapped portion. 3 sections can be added, and for each section you may add the nozzle that is in a semicircular form like this. Okay, so the flute is drawn, both the hands are drawn. Now the another shape which is added over here, that is nothing but the same shape added here. So it's beginning somewhere from this point, ending somewhere at this point and this intersection. Now that point can vary a little bit. Go for a wavy line, connect it with the smooth curve, opposite curve here. This is somewhere at 50-50. Okay, and there's a curve forming here. Now once the shape is drawn, you may add the elements inside. Replicate the same shape, both the curves, leaving say 2 to 3 mm distance. Add some semicircular shapes and follow the same curve again. The distance will reduce as you go along with the shape. Again, some semicircles can be added. This is how your subject is drawn. Now in the next session I will teach you how to draw the elements in the background. So we have added some lotuses, some petals and some leaves in the bottom section here, so that we will discuss. Before that, another thing you have to do is take 2.5 centimeter distance and draw the border of your whole painting, of your whole canvas, right? Say 2.5 centimeter is the distance that you have to leave from all the sides. Let me just teach you. Mark 2.5 centimeter all the sides, at least 2 times you have to mark. Use a big scale. If you have 30 centimeter scale, that will also do, and just draw a straight line. Okay, this way you have to give the borders on all the sides. Okay, this way borders should be given. Now this seems like 2.5 to me, so I'm going to draw a straight line. So this is nothing but your borders. Later we will add the elements inside the borders and it will be done. So this session ends here, and we will see you in the next session where we are drawing the elements in the background. Yeah? Bye bye.